choosing the right colours for your brand. My name is Eileen Burns. I'm owner of Stress Coach Training and the Spiritual Marketing Club, and I help healers and spiritual businesses put the soul back into their business and their marketing. As someone who has not just studied healing for 30 years, but also as someone who has had a business that a large part of it was an online business for over nearly actually 23 years, I understand the importance of effective marketing and also effective branding. And one of the things that is really, really important to a brand and effective marketing is choosing the right colours. Now, one of the things that I started studying very early on in my life was actually colour. I was someone that went into fashion and design at only 17 years of age. I had a strong interest in colour, and I would go on and I'd study things like colour therapy, colour healing, colour psychology, and also even colour analysis. And this helped me look at colour from many different perspectives. And also, the more that I went on and evolved as a healer and understood vibration and frequency and the psychology of marketing, and how the brain works and how we certain colours and certain, not just colours, but sometimes palettes and themes can actually evoke certain emotions, can help, some can excite us, some can help calm us down and relax, some can stimulate our appetite, some can actually, do the opposite. It helped me in a variety of ways. And one of the things that I was lucky enough to it was almost like something that was more easy for me. I had a good eye. So certain things in marketing were easy for me when other things were quite challenging for me in business. And when I first started out my business, even though I had an extremely low budget, I'd been someone who had been sick for many years and was living on what you would call state benefits and had to pay privately for a lot of support with my health. So I really was, basically at what you call the lowest income. I had to think clever and I had to think smart when I was building my business. And one of the things that was quite interesting was that I managed to build a brand at that point. At that point, it was called the One of the Health. It's such an effective way that people actually thought I was a huge company, which actually caused me a lot of problems. But it made me realise how that if you have a good brand and you do certain things in a sort of effective way, you can make an impact. Now, from that perspective, I also started studying lots of other things. I'd always had an interest in archetypes, and as someone who'd studied counselling, psychotherapy, psychology, I understood, the fundamentals of archetypes and how they show up in our life. But it wasn't till about approximately 10 years ago, maybe a wee bit less than that, where I started to explore archetypes in a different perspective and notice the common denominator with not just colour psychology, but how you can use colour in branding to support certain archetypal traits. And as someone who is very intuitive, and what you would call, I tend to, when I'm working with clients, see colours and see things to do with energy. It helped me understand why certain brands were more powerful than others, why certain brands were able to quickly and effectively create a certain know, like, and trust. So choosing colours is not just and your brand is not just about looking, for example, and saying, well, green's calming or blue's calming, so I'm going to choose that colour. Colours have, if you look at, the tones and shades of colour, however, whatever, how you would describe them. It's not just about choosing one or two colours, it's how we present the colours and what message is behind a brand. But if you choose colours that actually represent the opposite of what your brand's core values or traits are, what you're trying to get across, you can actually repel your audience. I'll give you some examples. So there are some colours that are very stimulating and are actually very stressful. And if you have a lot of these colours in your brand and you were, for example, trying to help people with anxiety, stress, or trauma, these colours, for example, if you had a lot of red or even a lot of orange, for someone who has a very highly sensitive nervous system, that can make them feel very stressed, right? Also, there's certain shades of greens and blues that can actually be quite depressing. If there's too much green and there's too much blue, and particularly certain colder shades, they can, for someone who's struggling mentally and emotionally, it can feel quite cold. So often when we're creating a brand, it's not just about, it's choosing the right colours and of course choosing the right colours, but it's not just about saying, oh, well, it's to be red or it's to be white or it's to be pink or it's to be blue. Shades are a big thing and how you combine those shades. And you may want to have a brand that has a strong impact. So for example, if you are more a nurturing brand, a brand that is all about empathy, compassion, soft, it's a very soft feminine, you don't want to use colours that are too aggressive or too masculine and too invasive, right? But it's also about recognizing what your audience, what is the energetic blueprint of the solution that you offer, right? And when you understand that, you understand what is the combination, and we have to understand what our clients are getting from us and what we think they're getting from us. One of the biggest mistakes many small businesses make, particularly for solopreneurs, they choose colours that they're attracted to, that they are drawn to. And that can mean that they're choosing colours that they psychologically need. It could be supporting them. And that doesn't mean that the colours that they're attracted to are not right for their client or customer. They have to choose carefully if they really want a brand that is aligned with their audience, because alignment is about what your audience needs and want. Also, it can be if you're trying to force your business to align with an audience that you're not really aligned with, or your products or services are not aligned with. Sometimes for example, one example is sometimes people, when they first come into like the coaching industry and they're very new and they want to attract high-end clients, and they're just putting a brand out that looks very high-end, but they may not have the substance or experience or skill at that point to really deal with those clientele, and they don't have the confidence, so there's a mismatch, right? Brand, an authentic brand, a soul-aligned brand is about aligning with your soul essence, and it's about the soul essence of your business. Now, there can be two. One of the things, if you only focus on you, you can miss the point of what your products and services are offering, because it's all about the products and services and the solution. But often a solopreneur, there is often a part of you in that, right? So, but it's getting that balance right, So, for example, I have two main sides to my business, but actually they are selling something completely different. And yes, both of them can attract similar audiences, but often the two businesses, one is say, for example, people on a journey that are maybe 10, 20 years ahead, and maybe a certain level of, what do you call it, awareness or awakening or knowledge or whatever. And some people are just new. For example, one side of my business is very much about attracting people that want to do certain types of therapy or coaching or healing, or people that are in the industry who want to up-level their skills and want more skills. But the other side of my business, I deal with healers and maybe therapists and spiritual teachers who've been on the spiritual path 20, 30 years, and they are teachers, and they are at a stage in their life where they have spent decades and so much of their life supporting others and being of service to others, and not always charging their worth, but they're at a stage in their life where they want to own that level of mastery, that level of insight and wisdom, and they perceive things a lot different than what they would see, how they would see things maybe 20, 30 years ago. So there's two different types of audience with, in many ways, different needs. There's different levels of awareness or consciousness or understanding. And between that, there can be obviously people that fit both camps. But the reality is that in both of those sides, I can use some things similar in my marketing, but there is some things that it might be the message, it might be the imagery, the styling, there can be all sorts of things. And if you have, for example, more than one business, you often want to try and keep if you've got a strong brand, or if you've been a well-known business, or have a well-known brand, you don't want to completely often have a completely new brand that when you can maximize an audience that may be already want to move on to you. For example, because I do have that difference, there is some clients who first came to me many years ago for one aspect, for some training, that now take on, come to me to the other side of my business, and you want to have similarities. But each business has to carefully consider its audience, has to carefully consider what you're actually selling, and what is the theme and energy of your business? What is your ideal clients seeking from you? What are they getting? And what do they want to feel? And brands can evolve, and that's if you look at large corporate companies that really use color psychology and branding, and they use archetypal branding. As a business evolves, the brand does evolve, but often there's certain things that stay the same or are congruent, right? And that can be core values. But if you choose colours right away that are more just like what you like, or are colours that are going to represent the opposite of what your audience needs, you're going to have a problem right away. One of the other problems that you can have, and this is one of the challenges that I did have, and it's a reason why I rebranded and changed some of my colours. I am what you call a strong caregiver, a nurturer, and that brand is very much about the generous mother. And there's a compassion, there's an empathy, there as a generosity, and often that brand is very nurturing and soft. It doesn't have to always be completely soft, but there is that nurturing feminine energy to it. But I'm also a strong, what they call an alchemist, and that's about helping people really move into change and transform whatever aspect that they need transformed. And one of the things about the nurturing, the caregiver brand is, when you're selling things like infant massage, like for example, I was an infant massage instructor, I was a holistic therapist, I was a meditation teacher, which included teaching meditation to kids, and the caregiver brand is ideal for that sense of nurturing and support. But if that's not an area that if that's not your main area of your business, at the moment, my spiritual marketing side of my business is about helping healers really own their power, own their sovereignty, and really transform themselves and their business. And I realized that I had to own more of the alchemist aspect in that, because the nurturing caregiver was too much of a pushover and was attracting certain aspects, because what I was doing was I was not owning part of me, what was part of my involvement as a business, part of my mission. So sometimes we have changes in our business that we have to own as our own spiritual involvement, but it has to be related to the products or services. The soft, the really soft, really light colours were not strong enough for this next part of my purpose and my mission in one side of my business. And you know, we can have two sides, but it's important that we recognize when there is certain things are shifting in our business, and that we start owning aspects of that. And one of the things that I discovered was certain sides of my business, the nurturing brand worked really well, but in other elements, being too soft, it was opening me up in many ways to, it's almost like I was an easy target for a lot of things, people expecting a lot of things for free, or not saying, it's almost like too soft and fluffy, right? And not showing maybe depth, or I was hiding behind the aspect of me, the people pleaser, the caregiver, the nurturer, but I wasn't owning my wisdom, my experience, and some solidness behind me. And I recognized that if I was going to help other healers, particularly in this stage of humanity, that I had to own certain aspects of me, which included even, you know, part of the leader within me. Not that I look at, you know, I think we all learn from each other, but as someone that was helping lead people into owning more of their sovereignty, as in owning more of the gifts, I had to be able to do that within my business. So colour plays a big part in how we see the world and how we see things, and colours, how they make us feel, because colours have, you know, frequencies that impact the brain, that impact the emotions and trigger certain things. Some colours are very grounding, nurturing, supportive, help. Some colours give a sense of authority, but again, remember, it depends not just on the colour, the depth of the colour and how it's combined, right? So when you are creating a new brand, one of the biggest things that I would say, and you're looking at new colours, play about with things. I know as I've been changing my brand, I've been playing about with things too, especially if you are sharing something that is more than, how could you say, one product or service, right? And you are trying to capture a combination of traits and things that are really, really important, right? You want to be able to feel into the brand and play about with colours and shades, and so that your brand stands out, because the nurturing and, for example, even like the orphan archetype, the innocent, they can often go off with much softer colours, but it depends on your styling and how you pull it off, and it depends what you're selling. And you want to be able to choose colours that still stand out and are going to make an impact, and that are going to help you be visible. If you choose colours that are going to melt in with the crowd, you know, it can cost you more in marketing and advertising. And it's a fine line choosing colours that are going to align with your audience and align with the core meaning and the blueprint of the energy of your business, and just trying to choose colours that are going to stand out. You know, you can't do it. It's getting that happy balance. But colour is extremely powerful. It can trigger all sorts of emotions and feelings. And it has great power in relation to, there is some colours that actually people tend to buy from more. There's some colours people tend to buy from less, and that's a whole different subject. And there's key colours that when there's certain buttons and things you should generally put some colours, but there is reasons why certain brands wouldn't use certain colours. But if we understand, first of all, most importantly, the colour always should represent a colour that is like the solution of what your clients want to experience, or the products that you're selling. What are they going to give your audience? That makes things a lot easier. Choosing the right colour should never be rushed, because it's such a powerful part of your brand. It's such a powerful thing that can make a big impact, and it can help, because once you choose the right colours, you replicate that so that people remember you more easily and get to see things more easily. When you don't replicate something, when you try and do things and just make it anything and everything, it's harder for people to remember you. And also, it doesn't instill confidence. When you have a strong brand and it's consistent, it looks professional, it looks as if you take your business seriously and that you genuinely are strong business. You are building something that you intend to stay the course of time, right? So these things, they all have a psychological impact. And obviously, the more authentic you want to be, you want it to be representing the energy of what your audience are going to receive from you. Okay. If this is an area you would like some help with, I offer deep dive brand strategy sessions, which is usually like 2 1-hour sessions. Sometimes it's a wee bit longer. And you also have a variety of courses on these and some of my membership, my Spiritual Marketing Club membership levels. If you want to find out more, get in touch. Have a wonderful day, but just remember that colour it's not about us, it's about our audience. And it's about building a brand that is going to really make an impact, stand out in social media. It's going to be easy to remember, and it's going to help build that know, like, and trust. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.